left to go. 5.5 Star keeps responding. Super Cool can't get him. And 5.5 Star won the Derby by a length and a half. Super Cool. Rawneck ran on for third.
Welcome back to the show. What a day it was for Anthony Cummings, for Damien Oliver and all the team. Hotel Grand, the sire of 5.5 Stay, just saw the closing stages of the Derby. Terrific race, terrific win, but I couldn't find him in a million years if I had 300 goes at the races.
Well, Anthony wasn't even going to start the horse on Wednesday until Damien Oliver went out and rode it in a track gallop and said, Anthony, I think you maybe should run this horse in the Derby, which is completely unlike Anthony because he usually runs everything just, if they're fit enough, go
To give
around.
you an idea, the horse accepted for a race on Thursday over 1,800 metres.
Well, maybe Ollie was smart enough to know that generally the 3-year-olds an average crop this year, I think.
Pretty big performance. Like they did go hard early. Sat second, faced the breeze, hit the front at the top of the straight and kept going.
Yeah. Before we, look, I'm modest enough at the best of times, but I really wanted to go back to last week when I said that It's a Done Deal wouldn't run a hole, and I was poo-pooed by you and you.
Yeah.
But it raced, it still raced like a horse that wanted further yesterday. Did you see it come in the last?
Yeah,
its best 50 was the last 50.
I don't think it got into a great position. I know it was back last on the outside when normally it was, but a horse improved 3 wide, which wasn't going anywhere. And at about the 800, James McDonald, you can see he wanted to go, but he couldn't.
He missed
go
his
anywhere.
window,
He missed it, and then once he got out, he had to go right around him and it dashed there for a couple of hundred yards, and it was all over.
Well, let's have a look at It's a Done Deal in
well summed up
in sort of 5 little parts. You can see from the draw, he went straight back to the rear of the field. We all thought he would. At around about the 1,600 metre mark, no change, still back there. But you're right, at the, I think it was about the 800, 700, you could see the urgings of James McDonald. And the horse, someone over my shoulder said at the 600 favourite can't win. I think even the race caller said
but
it.
If you go
halfway down the straight, he goes wide. And looks like all of a sudden he's going to mount a challenge, but not.
You go back through all of his runs, even when he won first up at Wyong, second up at Canterbury. It takes a little bit of riding to get going, but at that stage when he wanted to get going, he had a horse on his outside, a horse in front of him that wasn't improving, and he just had to sit in the pocket and just couldn't go.
But just quickly also, Quinny, the track, I thought it was a track where you had to sort of maybe sneak ground through and then get out and launch late, whereas there were a lot of horses on the day that you try to make a big run around them, keep coming, horses had had enough by the 100. And he makes a dash. He was pretty flat in the last 200. Did you find the track?
Yeah, he was a little. I had no problem with the track. I thought it played completely fairly.
No, but you can't you can't sustain a 600 metre
It's
run.
hard to make the big run.
Like appearance come from last right around the outside, so did Luna
carried
Rise.
into the race.
He had to. He was asked him to make a run for 600 metres, and he
on
did
his
it
own. He didn't have anything taking him into the race.
And for 400 metres, he did a very good job of it. But just the last 200, he couldn't keep going. But having said that, I don't think we've seen the same horse in Melbourne that we saw in Sydney.
But I think Brent summed it up. He missed his window at a vital stage, and that probably put paid to the horse.
And silent auction items, they're not working, seriously. You came up with the idea. Auction off the horse, you said auction off the field.
No, you got to auction the runners. Yeah,
auction the runner at a Derby.
Yeah, you got to do it.
Got a tweet from our great mate Matty Weiss, who always comes up with a beautiful one.
He does.
He'll be snipping us for an invoice soon, for sure.
Anthony Cummins must be spewing. He didn't get his dad's eyebrows.
Play on. Next.
Email here, fellas. I'm spewing because I couldn't find that Derby winner 3 weeks ago in a Canterbury Maiden, so how the heck are we going to find it in a classic like the Derby? The race, whilst it has history, is fast becoming the worst form race in Australia. Look at Saybridge and Sangster from last year, says Ben from Canberra.
Well, spring 3-year-olds, mate, compared to autumn 3-year-olds.
But is it you made the comment? Should it, or someone did? It might have been you.
Well, I'd love to see it run. I'd love to see it run at 2,000 metres, but the reality is it's not going to happen. So we should stop wasting our breath. But if it was run at 2,000, these horses might then go on to do more throughout the rest of their careers. From
a punting perspective, what was the action in the ring? It looked pretty tame because the market had been well and truly found. Was there any real serious goes?
Super Cool was probably the best go in the last 24 hours leading in, and it was probably over the odds off the Vars run.
Jeez, it was going to win by
and it was
50
going to win.
yards.
So that would have been a big result. Obviously went the bookmakers' way. The rest of it, bits and pieces, but I think probably not massive, reflective of the fact it wasn't a flash derby.
And in hindsight, the It's a Done Deal $2 as it was
we could $3.
Well, it was $3 on the day.
It ended up SPing $3 on the day.
Were you when you looked the horse in the mounting yard? Were you saying no?
He looked a little bit. No, he looked a little bit stir in the yard. He was tugging. He was tugging the right. His handler. He was right on the steel.
Yeah.
He looked a little bit over the top in the yard, but he firmed from $3.30 to $3. like real late in betting, so which is not a bad push in the Derby.
Yeah.
He's little, isn't he? He's only a tiny little thing.
About 420 kilos.
And you're standing behind a super cool who's a massive individual.
lump.
So anyway, but will be interesting to see. It's a done deal for mine. Is a horse that will go on, but is it a Cox Plate horse next year? Is 5.5 star? Well, you know,
I don't know.
Hard to tell.
I don't know.
That's
I'm
a motto
going
win
to try
for
and
them.
find a winner on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday before worrying about next year.
one winner that everybody found was Zydeco in the Wakeful, and it helped with a bit of a bad steer from your mate Jimmy. He got himself caught up in a bit of traffic on the inside, victim of circumstances. But while that was happening, Karen McAvoy just said, "I'll just be coming down the outside."
Bang.
Look at just a solid win. You said ridden out. I say giggling for Thursday.
You've just upset a good, 67% of viewers, because if it's paid $3, 33% of viewers have probably backed it. So the others are going, oh, great, rub salt in the wound that everyone has backed it.
Oh, everyone found it. It was two horses in the race that could win it. Yeah, big surprise of the place getters. Like in the Derby, we probably should have mentioned.
Mara Tib, I backed it a couple of times at Geelong. I think I backed it at Pakenham. Wherever else it keeps getting beaten, Maidens, it comes out and runs second at 100 to 1 in the... And probably Nelly should have won the race. She got sucked out at about the 600, had to come back around. It was a huge effort.
And just on that, going back to the Derby, Rawnak should have just about got it.
Nash got 10 meeting suspension for that. And
11.77 the last 200 in the Derby is just phenomenal.
Not a bad effort.
Anyway, to the Oaks, anything out of that that's going to upset the apple cart?
You can get better than even money on Zydeco. I think that is probably the bet of the spring. I think she's an absolute beast. She'll relish the extra distance. She was fantastic on Saturday.
The bet of the spring.
I hope this goes
how many bet of the springs have you thrown out so far?
You don't
The bet
kill
of the
another
spring
one.
was in the last.
I hope you don't kill another one. And he's going, I think he's batting about 5 from 5 in his Herald Sun tipping thing on a Saturday. The short price winner, gone.
Zydeco will win the Oaks. Straight down the barrel.
Will it jump odds on?
It will jump odds on.
You
I'd
said
back it
Briganti
tonight.
would win the Cup, but it wouldn't have won the Cup. It can't win.
Play on.
Oh, we've got to move on
win
from
the Geelong
Briganti,
Cup.
seriously. But dear Demi, I'll stick.
You stick?
You're
Okay,
all
let's have a
massive
look at our
Zydeco,
tips.
fair
I think Zydeco's just an overline. Morale. I'm not
just bagging him.
I'm bagging him, not
Now you're
the
saying
He's
it's
playing the
Morale.
man.
Now you're saying it's a morale and he's... Oh,
Now, the difference is when I throw out Morale once every so often. Bet of the spring, we've had 11 shows. He's had 11 bets of the spring.
That is the first time I've used the word bet of the spring.
Machines in a Werribee hospital after him. He broke a leg.
Hit back. Fight back.
Poor old Machine.
Never racing again. That's how much.
More Joyous. She's gone. Piero.
But I know we joke, but you look at last spring and last autumn, it was just one of those cases where every time there looked to be a good thing, they were winning.
Yep.
This spring, they've all gotten beaten. It's been a nightmare.
I'd love to know, and in fact we might find it before the end of the show, the stats on Group 1 favourites in the Melbourne Spring, because it certainly isn't good from a punting perspective.
And what was it in Sydney in the
Well, it
autumn? It was
depends.
19 from 21.
Okay,
Depends if you're looking for a bit of value.
you're going for Dear Demi?
Yeah, I think Dear Demi, no luck, of course, can turn the tables. I can see the big Z's hard to beat, but I'll stick.
And
I agree.
Summer Bliss, you're going Zydeco, Dear Demi.
This Wakeful form's always very good, and she was obviously the best run in it.
And there's the odds on screen for Luxbet, as you can see, pretty clear cut. There's only she may start odds on the way things are going.
She may, and Dear Demi, so might be short on that. Summer Bliss might go out, a massive gap to the rest.
Yeah, there's not too much that you can glean from that, other than this field of fillies looks to be a race in 3. There doesn't seem to be too much outside of it.
Indeed.
Is there a bolter there?
Transonic, I think, ran a good race. The Patnack Farm filly up on the speed, and she could maybe stick it out if a rider pinched it and was a bit brave and went forward, but geez, it looks hard to beat Zydeco.
Okay, we'll take a break here on Talking Through Your Kick. The big story to come out of Derby Day was, of course, the inquiry into Con Karakatsanis and a little bit of stuff that was found accidentally in a bag. We'll talk about that straight after this.